Fruitcake has to be the most maligned, smeared, hated Christmas treat out there.
It's my very own special homemade Christmas fruitcake.
I think very few people even eat fruitcake anymore, but we are here today against all odds with a fruitcake recipe, by golly.
Actually, Harper, I don't think that you are being very fair for what we are going to cook today.
Well, I think that the world is not being very fair to fruitcakes.
Go and talk with the people from the region where this dish is from.
Yes, exactly. There is a fruit cake. It's from northern Italy. I was introduced to this dish a few Christmases ago. We were in Ava's hometown in Calabria, and Ava made this cake for her family for Christmas, and it blew everyone away. Everyone was really into it. Most of them had never heard of it before.
If you remember, Harper, that year I prepared two cake for Christmas. One was the well-known cassata siciliana. The other one was this one. And guess what? The cassata siciliana was left there, and everyone ate this other one.
All the southern Italians went
They
for the
jump on the
northern
other one.
one. Yeah. This dish has a name that doesn't sound very Italian.
It's Italian.
What's it called?
Zelten.
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 Not Zelten. Zelten.
I prefer Zelten because it sounds like an evil alien from like a
it's
sci-fi
Zelten.
thing. Lord Zelten. Now, even if you are thinking to yourself right now, there's no way I'm gonna be interested in a fruitcake, you should still stick around because there will be something coming up later that, if I understand correctly, is going to be more Zelten, but without the fruitcake part. You'll see. You'll see.
It isn't a fruitcake, is it?
No. It's two fruitcakes.
Okay, so how do we make this Zelten?
It's made with very simple ingredients.
Wait a minute. I know what you prepped yesterday. It's not that simple.
See, but it's simple in a matter of ingredients. It's like it's
Okay,
not that...
I'll give you simple. There are a lot of ingredients to come, I know.
Si.
This part looks simple.
This part looks like a normal cake. So we have some butter, sugar, eggs, flour, 00, rye flour.
Rye flour?
Yes, because in the north of Italy, the rye flour is used a lot. We are in Trentino-Alto Adige. We are in a region that is up to the north where half of the population they speak German. Maybe you know that Germans, they are very famous for their rye bread and a little bit of baking powder. Obviously, we need also a little bit of salt because in every sweet dish you need to put a pinch of salt because it amplifies the sweetness and the deliciousness of a cake. So butter in, then we add sugar, and with a wonderful tool like this you start to mix butter and sugar until you form a cream. It's soft, it's fluffy. So when your butter and sugar looks like that, you add the 2 eggs and start again. So after they are combined, sugar, butter and eggs, is the moment in which you can add all the dry ingredients, which means the 2 kinds of flour and the baking powder. It's always, I don't want to say fundamental, but it's very important to sift the dried ingredients when you are making a cake. This makes the flour having more air, so your cake will be fluffier. You will avoid the bad clumps usually of the baking powder. Don't forget the pinch of salt, and then we can mix all together. And now it's time to add the rest of the ingredients.
Does that mean that it's time for the big bowl of Christmas?
It's time for the big bowl of Christmas.
So this is literally Christmas in a bowl.
This is Christmas in a bowl.
Do you want to talk about what this is and how you made this yesterday?
So yesterday evening I took some dried figs, dates, pine nuts, hazelnut, walnuts, candied fruit.
Pine nuts? Did you say pine
Pine nuts, I
nuts?
said already pine nuts.
Orange zest,
Orange zest, lemon zest, raisins, cinnamon, cloves, allspices, grappa. So I think that's it. I mixed them all and I let them marinated overnight because all the flavor at this point they developed, they are all together, so our Zelten will be amazing. And you can't understand the smell.
Yeah, it is.
It's incredible.
It is Christmas in
Just
here all of a
right
sudden.
now I'm talking, I have, woo.
There is far more of this than of the actual dough.
Don't worry, trust the process. Now we need to pour all this there. And now we mix. Well, all the cake dough, how do you call the butter?
Batter?
And all the fruit is well incorporated, as you can see. You need something like that, spring form. You need to cover with parchment paper. To use the parchment paper, what you can do is take a slice of parchment paper,
Sheet.
piece of parchment paper, just wet it a little bit, do like that, and then when you open, it's very flexible. Now we transfer all this there. One of the most beautiful things about Zelten is the way in which it's decorated. So before we bake, you need to make it prettier. I'm going to use almond and candied cherries, but you can use also orange candied or walnuts, hazelnut, pine nuts. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to make a sort of flower.
Lovely.
It looks very pretty. We are going to bake it at 350, 355 Fahrenheit for about 35-40 minutes or until it's golden at the top. The cake is almost done baking, so it's the time to prepare a sort of syrup, but it's not really a syrup because at the end what we are going to do is warm some milk with just
Milk.
honey with a little bit of water. I do by high. We warm this on a very low heat because we want just to melt actually the honey. We don't need to make it boiling.
It's smelling very good in here. Very Christmassy.
I agree. The last thing that we need to do is brush all the surface of the Zelten with this warm honey, and we need to do this when the honey and the cake they are still hot. And now is the moment to wait because the Zelten needs to be enjoyed when it's completely cold. And while we are waiting to make it cool down completely, a quick word from today's video sponsor.
Today's sponsor is Lingo Pie, which is one of the coolest ways to practice and learn a new language. As many of you know, Ava was a professional Italian language teacher. What did your most successful students do?
They didn't just study with me like once a week, but actually during all of their days, all of their weeks, they keep expose themselves to a language, to, in that case, Italian language.
So for instance, I'm learning Italian, and so it's very helpful for me to watch Italian movies, Italian TV shows, listen to Italian podcasts, and that's what Lingo Pie is great for. It's kind of like the Netflix of language learning. They have a huge and constantly growing library of movies, television shows, audible content. And so you can literally learn a language by just watching TV,
Which is pretty cool.
which is pretty nice
Without
and
listening
fun.
to a teacher, that sometimes we are very boring.
It's more than just watching content in a different language. They have a ton of tools to actually help you learn and progress. One of the things that I find most helpful to do is to say, watch a movie with Italian subtitles so you can read along with the script, but you can even dive deeper and go beyond that. If, for instance, you see a phrase or something that you don't understand, you can just click on it, get more context, get more info. You can then take quizzes on what you've learned to help you practice, help you remember. You can make flashcards. There's even a feature where you can practice saying the new words that you've learned. Anyway, it is a super cool service, and we think it's a really great way to practice a new language. So if you're interested in learning a new language, visit the link down in the description below. Not only will you get a 7-day free trial to check it out, but then you will get 55% off an annual plan. That's more than half off. Once again, links down in the description below. Please check it out, help support the show. Big thank you to LingoPie for sponsoring today's video.
And for making my husband speak a little bit of Italian.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
See, look at me, Harper.
You look pretty Christmassy.
I look pretty Christmassy, I know. And also our Zelten looks pretty
It
Christmas.
looks very Christmassy. It smells Christmassy. I've had it before, so I know, I'm pretty sure it tastes Christmassy. This is one of those things where
You don't want to cut.
I know. It feels like a shame, but gotta do what you gotta do. Christmas is a time of forgiveness and compassion. It's fine. It's fruitcake. Someone's getting coal in his stocking this year.
It's like, I made this with so much love. Buon appetito.
Buon appetito.
If you never had a Zelten before in your life, big mistake. Run into the kitchen and do this. Now, I know that this is not a panettone. I know that this is not a pandoro, which are the most famous Italian Christmas cake or Christmas dessert. But if it happens that you can't have a real panettone, I would do this all my life.
I would take this homemade over an awful expired, overpriced panettone that we can find here any day. Now, if we haven't convinced you to try making a fruitcake this year, it's worth visiting, from what I understand, another version of Zelten
Zelten.
that is still Zelten,
It's Zelten.
but isn't technically fruitcake, if I understand correctly.
You understand perfectly. We are going now to show you how to make something similar, but it's not a fruit cake. Let's call it a sort of fruit bread. Also, this fruit bread is called Zelten. If you are familiar with the region of Trentino-Alto Adige, you should know that Trentino-Alto Adige is divided in two parts. One is Trentino, where the first fruit cake was from. The second one is Alto Adige, where this fruit bread is from.
All right, where do we start to make our fruit bread?
We start from the flour because it doesn't exist a bread without flour. So I'm mixing all-purpose flour, rye flour, then we add some ground anise and ground cumin.
That's interesting.
See, because it's what in France they will call pain d'épices.
What?
Spiced bread.
Spiced bread.
Pain d'épices. A little bit of olive oil. A little bit of honey. Some yeast. We start to mix. And then we start to add water. We need also some salt. This dough is, as you can see, is a little bit sticky. So to make the things easier, I'm using this scraper that makes easier the process to knead it.
I assume that it's important to be sticky though. You don't want to just add more flour to...
No, you need a dough that is sticky because these work more or less as a glue. Now we put a little bit of olive oil in the bowl. Now what we can do is we are going to cover it with plastic paper and we put in the oven with the lights on for about 1 hour. And why we use the light in the oven? Because this it will work like a sort of, I don't know how do you call, camera di lievitazione.
Yeah, it just keeps the oven a little bit warmer so that it
Sì.
rises faster.
Because don't forget, it's Christmas, which means that it's cold.
Unless you live in Arizona.
Unless you live in Arizona.
You don't want the oven on though. I just want to
No,
be clear.
no,
You're
no,
not
because
baking it. You just...
Not yet,
Yeah.
not yet. After 1 hour, your bread dough should look like that, which means doubled in size and pretty soft. And is the moment in which we can use the other big bowl of Christmas goodies.
Big bowl.
And for big bowl, this time I mean a big bowl. This is basically the same of what we used before, but with 2 or 3 differences. The first one is that here we don't have dates, but we have 2 kinds of raisin. Here we used also some anise and some cumin, and plus we had also some white wine and honey. I just melted some honey in white wine and add here so those amazing dried fruit nuts could soak all the amazing flavor of the honey, the wine, the grappa, etc., etc.
How are you going to mix all of that into this?
Now actually I'm going to mix this into that.
Oh, okay.
And then with your hands, because this is not hands off, you start to assemble everything. Don't be scared, trust the process. It's years and years that this is made like that. At some point, it's obvious that what you need to do is to flip, and this is what I'm going to do.
It just looks the same as what was in the bowl. Like
Because-
the fruit and nuts just absorbed the dough.
See, because the dough at the end is just a glue to keep all this fruit together. Once your fruit is completely incorporated into the bread dough,
I think it's the other way around, but okay.
we need to shape our Zelten. You have several choices here. The first one is to make a huge Zelten out of all this, and usually the big one in Alto Adige is always made in the shape of an heart. But you can also make them smaller, like we are going to do now. And let's say that out of this we can actually do 4 smaller Zelten. As a star, just round, as an heart. If you are very creative and very good, you can also make the Christmas tree. Feel free to make wherever shape you like. Now we need to decorate them because we can't leave them like this. They are beautiful, but we can make them more beautiful. What we need to do is waiting a little bit because our Zelten here, they need to rest for about 20-25 minutes. In the meantime, we can prepare a sort of syrup, and this time we are going to use sugar, honey and a little bit of water. And we are going to put this syrup on top of the Zelten before we bake them. Now is the moment in which we can bake them, and we are going to bake them at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
I drop this one, I'm really in trouble. It's a heart.
It's an heart because one of the traditional shape when they make this kind of dessert to give to other people, like a gift.
Like a fruitcake.
I've gotten a lot of fruitcakes for Christmas.
Here are 7 more fruitcakes.
I should try this fruitcake to understand
should.
if actually it's so bad like
I
everyone.
don't think they are. I think it's just because they were heavily like commercialized, and so people maybe didn't make them at home as much, and they just I don't know.
Maybe I need to try. So this for my Christmas, I will have a Zelten and a fruitcake, so I can understand which is the best and where is the truth about the fruitcake.
Speaking of which, bread is maybe a stretch here, Ava. I get that it was like a bread dough, but the dough is basically, as you said, a glue.
Now, this is considered a bread because when it was made, they didn't make the bread dough to make this. So when they were making the bread, they took a small piece of bread dough and do something sweet, because even if they had sugar or something like that, it was Christmas also during the past in Italy. So they tried to spice it up to give sweetness, to make a dessert using what they had.
This is kind of cool because when you were mixing all those ingredients, the figs and everything, I was thinking at the time, like, I just kind of want to eat that. That looks good. And that's sort of what this is. It's just given form to all of these delicious Christmassy ingredients.
And the smell is. So, buon appetito!
Buon appetito. It's less like bread and more like candy. It's kind of candy.
The figs and the raisin and the almond. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because I love figs, I love dates. I love all this so much.
That is really good. I'll be honest, when these first came out of the oven, they looked to me, I thought this will be more like fruitcake than the other one, but no, it's really kind of its own thing and different. And so actually, I really do think that you're right, that if you maybe are not into fruitcake, but you want some of these flavors of the Zelten and stuff, that is awesome, and you will enjoy it, trust me.
More you talk about this fruitcake, more I want to try it.
Okay, so now I definitely need to make a fruitcake for Ava. If anyone has a really good fruitcake recipe that you like, drop it in the comments down below, because I need one. Before we go, a quick shout out to a very special pasta grammarian. So Christine is someone who came to Ava's hometown of Dasa and did a pasta lesson there, making macarona with our...
She made also the cheese lesson.
Oh, and the cheese.
She
did
made the cheese, she made the ricotta.
Yeah. She met our beloved Spice Girls there. And when we made a video a little while ago talking about some of the projects and things we're doing in Dasa, I'll put a link up here, you can check it out. But one of the things we have going on there that we're trying to do with a nonprofit association in Dasa is actually restore the medieval mill that's there in Dasa. And so Christine took it upon herself. This isn't something that we started or asked for or anything. And she's a graphic designer, and she made, can you see this? These amazing shirts that say Alleluia for Induja. They're super cool. We love them. She made these shirts, and she set up a place where you can buy them, and it's set up as a fundraiser for this nonprofit in Dasa. So we'll put a link down below. We are so thrilled and happy and honored that someone would take the time to do this.
And also because we have two new wonderful t-shirts.
The shirts are awesome.
Like the shirt of Induja maybe is the first one in the world. It's so beautiful.
It's really cool. So if you like these shirts as much as we do, again, we'll drop a link down below. All of the proceeds go to this nonprofit and to help restore this mill in Calabria. And it's super cool. So anyway, thank you, Christine. We are totally blown away and humbled by this, and love the shirts. We think that they're awesome.
A lot.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.